Sharma, OSD National Emergency Science University, Bhopal Campus Session Chair for the upcoming session. Today, we have the privilege of welcoming a true leader in the field of forensic science. Her work has undoubtedly shaped the landscape of the field. We are all eager to hear her insights. Please join me in giving Dr. Sharada Avadhanam a huge round of applause.
Welcome.
Dr. Sharada Avadhanam is a distinguished figure in forensic science, renowned for her leadership and innovations in the field. With an MSc in biochemistry and training from NICMS, she joined ED Forensic Science Laboratory. Later heading key departments and establishing the first regional forensic science laboratory in Visakhapatnam. Her contributions include developing educational programs with Andhra University and writing authoritative texts for police training, earning national recognition. Ma'am's career is marked by pioneering initiatives in digital forensics and DNA analysis, alongside projects like 3D visual crime scene management. As director of APFSL from 2013, she streamlined operations, achieving notable successes such as efficient resolution of high-profile cases. Beyond her professional achievements, she has advanced her expertise in certification, enhancing her impact on forensic education and practice. Let's have a big round of applause for ma'am. The stage is yours. And we have a handheld mic also if you need one.
And I'm very excited and happy to see such young minds, that always inspires me whenever I interact with young minds. I feel young at heart and mind, and that gives me a lot of boosting to interact with you. And for the students, I was told 50 number are from Telugu speaking states. So for them, ఇక్కడ ఎట్లా ఉంది తల్లి, బాగున్నారా అందరూ? అందరూ బాగున్నారా? హ్యాపీగా ఉన్నారా? హెల్తీగా ఉన్నారు కదా? హెల్త్ ఈజ్ వెరీ ఇంపార్టెంట్ దీస్ డేస్, ఇఫ్ యూ కెన్ కుక్ ప్లీజ్ కుక్, అదర్వైజ్ బయట తినకండి ఎక్కువగా, వర్షాకాలం హెల్త్ పాడవుతుంది. సో విత్ దిస్ బ్యాక్డ్రాప్, so let us come to the business session. And since all of you have the forensic background, things become easy for me. Before I forget, because as I told you, I get excited by looking at young brains and young hearts. So I should be failing in my duty if I don't extend. I deem it a great privilege and an opportunity. And I owe a lot to the organizers. At the nick of moment, I have to introduce myself because we were placed in a very remote place called Talegaon, somewhere in Pune. So we were never heard, we were never seen by anybody. We are secluded that way. So I took the little trouble of introducing me, and then that's how Renuji is little kind-hearted, and the management also are little accommodative. So last minute they try to accommodate me, and I strongly believe in sharing experience. I don't say because I am born little ahead, I am aged and experienced. Nothing, you are also equally talented, I feel, and I am not here in the capacity of a retired director or in the capacity of a OSD. I only believe in interaction. The more you interact, the more wise you become. That is my philosophy. Anyway, coming to the proper now, when we say forensic science, how many of you will think that we need to work within 4 walls of the laboratory? Is the definition of forensic science that? Do we need to, as forensic scientists or budding forensic scientists, do you feel that we should work within 4 walls of the laboratory only and then be happy with it? We are great forensic scientists. I have mastered GCMS, I have mastered TLC, I have mastered hyphenated technologies. I am happy. I am an expert, declared expert. That's all about forensic science? Do we need to only isolate ourselves, work in silos? No. But why should there be a concept called integrated teaching, integrated technologies, integrated methodologies? Why should you think there should be an integrated approach? In absence of that, what are the repercussions? What are the consequences of that is precisely what I am trying to discuss with all of you. Now, exteriors, current, futuristic. Let us try to see the scenario now. The exterior scenario of forensic science is it was in a very bad shape. Now, we were restricted, in future this thing, whenever I say we the forensic scientists, are budding forensic scientists for that matter. Now, exteriors, we restricted ourselves only within four walls, and the entire crime scene management used to be by the police at the grassroots level, not even the supervisory level. They were coming, whatever they feel like collecting, collect it, whatever way they wanted to pack it, whatever question they want to put, they put the questions, and then trying to throw the blame on the forensic scientists, saying that इतना ब्लड, इतना खून बह जाता, फिर भी ये लोग ब्लड ही नहीं बोलते, ह्यूमन नहीं बोलते, अब किस काम का ए रिपोर्ट. दिस इज व्हाट यूज्ड टू बी द ब्लेम ऑन द फोरेंसिक साइंटिस्ट. Now, integrated approach में क्या होता है? Now, once the police get to know what are our difficulties in the field, not only police, because the entire system of criminal justice system is made of so many agencies, isn't it? Now, in the travel, during the travel of the material objects or the physical evidences, from the moment they are located in the scene of offense till they get deposited in the court of law, there are so many multi-agencies are required. Now, if you feel that my domain is restricted only to forensic science, I will be limited by that only. So if I try to expand my horizons, get to know what are the difficulties, what are the limitations of the other agencies, I will be able to appreciate the evidentiary value in a better way. And that way will also be helping the trier of the fact. Who is the trier of the fact? What is he called? Who is the trier of the fact ultimately? Yes. Judge is ultimately, whether we work for it or the police or the prosecutor or that, for that matter, the accused and victim, we are all part and parcel of the criminal justice system, where the trier of the fact is at a higher pedestal called the judge or the magistrate, depending upon which court the case is referred to, isn't it? Now, in that travel, as I told you, there is a changing over of the physical evidence from one agency to the other, from one hand to the other hand. So, if you can't understand the nitty-gritty or the intricacies or the lacunae that are involved in the system, you will not be able to appreciate, isn't it? Because we go by what is known as GIGO principle. What is GIGO principle? Garbage in, you can't expect something wonderful to happen. Garbage in, garbage has to come out, that's it. No miracle, nothing. We are not here holding some magical wand, and then even if you collect a wrong material, even if you collect it in a wrong way, we are here to produce some wonders. Forensic scientists are not magicians, please remember. So we have a limitation governed by the scene and by the evidences. Now, integrated approach, why I have chosen this little odd, though odd for the student, but it is required. The reason is very simple. Now, when I worked in National Police Academy, we used to get the retired police officers. Not that the working IPS officers can, because they are only supervisory level. They can't go into the deeper layers of the investigation. They will not be able to, take it out, and they will be able to explain in a better way. So, like that, there is an integrated police perspective, prosecution perspective, forensic perspective, both the sciences, forensic science as well as forensic medicine. So, if there is an integrated approach, what will happen? We will get to know the problems, and thereby we can present the material objects in a proper way so that it will not lose its integrity. It will not lose its integrity, it will not lose its admissibility. So, everything, the trier of the fact goes by a yardstick called admissibility, relevance, reliability. If your methodology is not falling in line with these things, it is of no use. You may have a sophisticated equipment in your lab. You may be a wonderful scientist. You may be an NABL accredited lab. Then what is the use? If you are not able to present in the court your own viewpoint, your own explanation, your own notes, if you are not able to interpret it, then your case is going to dogs. It is as simple as that. Can I have next slide? See, what is the traditional way? I told you already, what is the traditional way? Now, earlier we used to work in silos, that means within four walls. Then whatever we are not aware of the court procedures, we are not aware how a forensic scientist has to depose his evidence in the court, of what kind of cross-examination may come up from because we were never told either in the academia or in the colleges, we were never told about this. So we do not know. For the first time I've been declared as a scientist, I've joined that a new assignment is given to me, I have become a scientific officer. Now I have started reporting cases, and when I go to the court, nobody guided me. Not even in the colleges, I was never told about how a court demeanor is all about, and then how to depose, what kind of questions can come up from the cross-examination. I am unaware of that. So that is the reason why, even at the college level, even at the university level, if I am told how to behave, how to present myself in the court, what should be my approach to a prosecutor, how I should answer the questions, and how should I go to the court in preparedness, that matters. So often in the lab, we miss that rough notes, whatever notes we prepare, whatever observation we make, we tend to forget that in the lab and then go very leisurely to the court. Now, when they ask, based on which data you have arrived at this particular interpretation, now you don't have that observation notes which you have prepared when the case is going on. So what is that? Who is going to believe? They don't want your personal opinions. They don't want subjectivity there. They want forensically led evidences, forensically operated procedures. They want that. So for every report or for every opinion, they want a reasonable justification. How you have arrived at that particular conclusion, what matters, not your procedure. Procedure may be good, but then there is some step where you have gone wrong, where it was very erroneous, then that will result in the negative way. So that will not be of any help to the either prosecution or the defense. Now, there is lack of understanding who is the final arbitrator of the criminal response. We are unaware. Who is going to decide the fate of the case? We are unaware. So police are coming, they are depositing cases, they are depositing material objects, and the FSL, some analysis goes on, and then prosecutor doesn't know what kind of examination, because he is also not aware, he is not with a science background, he is also unaware, he can only speak about law. Whether the sections, the police officer has booked the case, he can only say add few more sections or delete some more sections, only at the best he can say that. He is unaware of the forensic analysis because he was never told about that. Yes? Now, result is, most of the time we keep cursing the system. Why acquittal? Though there is a good investigation system, though there is a good prosecution, though there is good reporting, but yet we are ending all the cases, most of the cases are ending in acquittal. The reason is very simple, because one agency is unaware of the activities of the other, or otherwise there is no appreciation by one agency, act of one agency is not being appreciated by the other. So these are the issues. Now, FS is discredited. If you see, it's not given a higher pedestal. We always feel judiciary at a higher pedestal, then comes police, at the top maybe very insignificant position is forensic science. Yesteryears I am talking about. Currently things have changed. We are no more an adjunct to the police. We are also proactive. Now, from a stage of primitive, adjunctive, passive, that used to be the stage, earlier stage. Now, thanks to the Naya Kanun, from which month it has come into force, Naya Kanun? June. Very good, very good. So you have enough law background also, I can presume. ठीक है? Now, so discredited. Earlier days nobody used to appreciate. Forensic है, चलो है, eyewitness है ना, काफी है. Don't bother about FSL report. That used to be the earlier scenario. Now, judges can equally decide handwriting. अभी है provisions Indian Evidence Act, because I'm yet to familiarize with the new act. I use only Indian Evidence Act at times. So handwriting, if somebody is there, court can, the judge can decide, he will decide. No need for expert there. Where is the need for expert? When he can become experts of expert, there is no need for any expert to be present over there. So earlier this used to be the scenario. Can I have the next slide? Now, traditional way, as I told you, lab procedures, SOPs are काफी है, अच्छा है, elaborate है, ठीक है, your lab is accredited, ठीक है, वो भी. Not bothered about what happened either before or after it. So we are not bothered. Pre-lab phase क्या होता है, और लैब फेज तो हमको तो पता ही है, and then post lab it is judges domain. Why should I know about it? That used to be the earlier scenario. Now, not bothered about what happens either before the lab phase or after the lab phase, that is pre-lab and then post-lab, and there is always a mistaken notion. What was that notion? Mistaken notion was, need not know about the police practices. What are CDs, part 1, part 2, why should I bother about part 1, part 2, 161 statement, 164 statement? No, it's not my domain, let me not bother. Now, there are difficulties, at least some peripheral knowledge. That is the reason I think most of the time, if I could see some change in the syllabi. So now they are slowly starting introducing laws, so Indian Evidence Act and then Indian penal code, then your Evidence Act and then CRPC, these things, at least at a basic level they are trying to introduce. So these are very important. Now you have to know as a forensic scientist little bit of law, and then what are the legal procedures, how can a mistake in the legal procedure, if you are not abiding to the legal procedure, how that can entirely turn the fate of the case. So that is the reason it is very, very relevant now, the present scenario, that we need to know law as well as the police procedures also, because there are a lot of guidelines time and again given by the Supreme Court and then High Courts, and they are strict guidelines. If you are not abiding to those strict guidelines, you may be perfect in your procedures as a forensic scientist, but these legal procedures, if you are not abiding, maybe the entire procedure is going to be futile. Next slide. Now, you have, as I told you, very passive role, and you are only as a kind of a tail adjunct to the police. Then IO is the one, IO I mean the investigating officer, most of the time he is the one who dictates terms. ये जरूरत नहीं है, बुलाने का जरूरत ही नहीं है, फोरेंसिक लोगों को क्यों बुलाते हैं, चुपके वो लोग गाड़ी मांगेंगे, फोन मांगेंगे, क्यों करते, don't call them. But thanks to the Naya Kanun and all, wherever there is 7 years and more than 7 years of punishment, any crime is attracting, it has become mandatory. I am using the legal term, it has become mandatory that we need to call the forensic scientist. He has to accompany the first responder, and most of the time the forensic scientist himself is becoming or herself is becoming the first responder, and he is the one who is visiting the scenes of offense. Now IO role is, they are deciding what evidence is to be collected, what to be collected, what to be processed and taken forward. All used to be dictated by the IO traditional way. Now crimes in management was relegated to the level of a constable. They are the ones, constable, writer with meager knowledge or no knowledge or low knowledge of forensic science. They were the ones, they have no science background absolutely. So they are the ones who are going to the scene of offense, and they were the ones who are managing the entire show of crimes in management. Now what is the repercussion, what is the result? And senior police also, they have their own priorities. So for them VIP duties are priorities, for them controlling law and order is priority. They have that is the reason why lot of committees, law committees and law commissions, they said law and order has to be segregated from the investigation. Crime is different and law is, though there are two different portfolios. So now will be assigned the duty except where law requires the senior officers. Wherever there are some crimes, the investigating officer is DYSP or SP. Only in such cases they were visiting the scene. Otherwise, a constable, ठीक है वो हमारा SI ठीक है, let them go and then do the crimes in management. Used to be the traditional way of thinking. Yes, next slide. Now, as I told, GIGO principle works. Now you expect. So what are the permutation and combination? You have a right material. You have picked up the right material. Now you have used a wrong procedure. Blood collected, but then it is still wet, you don't dry it properly, you pack it in plastic cover, send it across. So procedure is wrong, though material is right, procedure is wrong. What is the repercussion, what is the result? Acquittal. Because you cannot give any conclusive kind of a report. Because whatever blood you are reporting got disintegrated completely. Then what is the use? Now, wrong material, right procedure. You are not supposed to pick up one material and then you have picked up that. Then what is the use? If it is not at all relevant, अभी तो कॉटन है, कॉटन तो हर जगह है, कॉटन बीच ऐसा ही पड़ा है घर में, कॉटन पिकअप करके देसी मटेरियल ऑब्जेक्ट बोले तो भी कुछ नहीं होने वाला है इसी के ऊपर. So wrong material, wrong procedure, it is complete disaster, no use at all. Then what is the right thing? Right material using the right procedure is the order that will result in good conviction rates. Now even here if you see the probability, combination permutation, only 25% of the cases we are successful. Rest of the 75 we are a failure because we don't follow strictly the SOPs, because we are unaware. We think that it is police domain, why should we know? So but ultimately it is the lab who has to report. So we have to appreciate this fact also, that even pre-lab phase, that is in the crime scene management also, we need to educate. We also have to educate ourselves, not only educate ourselves, then educate the police, educate the judge, educate the prosecutor. There lies the integrated thing. Now, hence the probability is, as I said, only 25%, but blame will always be fixed on the FSL, because ultimately they are the ones who are going to give the report. Now why? Blood is detected. The blood detected got disintegrated. Hence blood group and origin could not be detected. Then judges are perplexed. He is perplexed. Why? In the first para you are saying blood is present. Then in second para how blood all of a sudden can vanish, disappear. Then we have to say, use less jargon and then tell him in a layman language, sir, the material that is required to say that it is blood, that particular ingredient, that particular composition is missing, hence it is disputed. So we have to know at least how to depose the evidence when you are called as an expert in the court of law, how to interpret your own report. You should have a thorough knowledge and you should also go with all preparedness. Otherwise, from nook and corner, not only the prosecutor, of course prosecution is in your own favor, but then when it comes to the cross-examination, I mean, coming days are very, very bad, because better than the expert, the defense lawyer, he goes to the expert, other party expert, private labs and all. He gets himself educated more on the forensic science. And then what are the loopholes in the forensic science? What are the lacunae in the forensic science? He'll get to know all these things and he'll bombard you with those questions. Then well, you are not prepared. What kind of cross-examination can happen? What kind of questions can you encounter? All that unless until you anticipate and prepare yourself thoroughly each case is very important for us. We don't discriminate between a sensational case, non-sensational case. We don't do that. Police have priority, we don't have priority. For us, all cases are equally important. Now, bad material, bad process of collection, definitely report is going to be very bad. It is of no use at all to the trier of the fact. Next slide please. Now, what is the journey from the moment the crime has happened, then reported, then it is analyzed, and of course it is deposited in the court of law. So throughout the journey of the physical evidence, right from the crime scene to the court, then several agencies, as I told, several agencies are involved, and the more the agencies, the more the risk, because handing over each time, what will happen, they are going to, if they don't follow SOPs, rider, so what will happen, each agency out of ignorance or inadvertent acts of each agency, they are going to add multifactorial contamination is going to happen, and multifactorial kinds of wrongs are going to happen, and that will make our evidence more and more weak. The risk of contamination, degradation, putrefaction. When we talk of biological evidences and other things, we are we know that they are more and more vulnerable, most vulnerable rather. So if you are not going to take precautions or follow the SOPs, now that material is going to degrade, and the right packing material is also important. If you are not using that, that will also make the evidence lose its significance. Yes, next slide please. Now as I told, agencies, models in field, all such agencies need to be trained. So why we specially train police? They need not know forensic procedure, but the order of the day is that they should also know how wrong material, wrong procedures can end up in a very negative kind of a report. So they should be trained, they should be educated, and it should start from the college onwards. I strongly believe not that way you are passed out from the college, you are passed out from the universities, only when you become some professional agent like police or lawyer or judge, only then I will get to know these things. It will become difficult, because as you grow up in age, what will happen? Your mind gets blocked, you are preoccupied. So it will not be that open. So it should happen at the level of college only. This understanding of the other agency, appreciating the other agency, their problems and all, it should be, it will be better understood when you are at a tender age, because your mind is free, you are open to ideas. So I feel all that should be taught at the undergraduate and then the postgraduate level. Now, role of the scientist, now there are models. Now slowly there are models which are being developed, and of course Telangana, don't say that I belong to Telangana, I am trying to praise Telangana too much, but then I worked in Telangana. I can only speak of Telangana because I have not have the privilege of working in other states. I am not the authority to speak about other states, but nevertheless. Now Telangana, Karnataka recently, you heard the news about Karnataka recently, what has happened in Karnataka? Not a bad thing, good thing only. Now there are as many as 200 scene officers, crime scene officers have been recruited. Now what is their qualification? Degree, then with some specialization, some PG diploma, for example, in crime scene management, PG diploma in forensic, in fingerprinting, for a PG diploma in document examination, isn't it? So such PG diplomas only they did, and the result is that 60,000 is the starting salary, and on a permanent basis. They were all selected. Only criteria that was required was, apart from this experience, local language of course is required. So even Maharashtra is not lagging. So they are trying to take up this, and then I think how many of you are, I think you have yet to complete the PG, then become FACT plus, I suppose. So FACT plus, I think you are also aware. So FACT plus 2 to 3 years backlog people जो भी है उनका अच्छा अभी, there are good opportunities for the government is creating lot of avenues and opportunities. I mean in any government good old days are gone. So they are not taking people directly on permanent basis. They will be taken on contractual basis. Later on they will become the permanent staff, because that's how you can monitor the performance of the scientist also. So that model is being replicated everywhere. All states, wherever good practices are there, government is very keen that all states should replicate those good practices. Now, role of the scientist, as I said, passive adjunct to it has become active. That means the way the crimes are being done, or the way the crimes are being, effectively be done by the accused, no, there is a gradual evolution altogether. Now, technically savvy, accused people are becoming, perpetrators are becoming technically savvy. What is happening? Now, if the crime is committed by using a technical gadget or by a person who has got a lot of technical knowledge, then if we are not keeping abreast, we are lagging behind. Always it happens. We are 4 or 5 steps behind the perpetrator. Now, so role of the scientists, forensic scientists have now shifted from a passive role to a active role. That means, what do I mean by active role? Now, active role I mean that along with the first responders, normally the police officers used to be the first responders. Now, along with them we are also going, because cyber forensics was unheard. It was never there before. Artificial intelligence was there, we never discovered that, of course. Cyber law was not there, it is a recent phenomenon. Machine language we never heard, it was there. Maybe it was there, we never adopted that to forensic science. Maybe, if I can put it that way. Now, techniques or technology has taken by leaps and bounds. So with the result, now if you are not technically savvy, if you are not keeping yourself abreast with the technical knowledge, then you are always behind. Now, so the role is slowly changing. The role of a forensic scientist from a very passive role, it has gone up to the active role. So what will be the future? What role will the forensic scientist going to play in future? Any ideas? Is it only active and then passive? Can there not be any other thing, better thing for the forensic scientist to do? Which role he is going to play in future? Preventive role, that is most important. Even before occurring a crime, it is better. Prevention is better than cure, isn't it? So proactive, preventive, predictive. With artificial intelligence and with algorithms and then big data analytics, what is happening? What is that we are going to predict this particular area is vulnerable, more robberies can take place. Let us have CCTV installed here. No, we can't afford, ours is still a poor country. We can't afford to have everywhere, all around in highways, the facility of keeping a CCTV. So our resources are limited, accordingly we need to plan. So in the process what is happening, once we know that a particular area is vulnerable, a particular area is vulnerable for attack, then we can mobilize all our resources towards that place. So this is what is happening. So science is progressing, technologies are progressing, and scientists accordingly has to progress. Because when accused himself is progressing, why not the agency who are supposed to catch them, why should we not be progressive? So that is the next slide please. So evolving, what is the landscape, present landscape? Now I said FS is being made responsible for all stages, not only crime scene, not only within four walls, but crime scene before lab, during lab, post lab also. Then FS involved in crime scene management and evidence location and collection. Now the crime scene officer, as it has happened in Karnataka, their role is go to the scene of offence, help the police officer in identifying the potential evidences, and he himself does the collection part of it. Police only put the sign. Along with the person who is collecting, police only puts the sign. So the role has become very, very crucial, responsible, isn't it? Now, they are the ones, and not only that, not only they help in collecting, not mechanical, but then they also go to the extent of reconstructing the crime scene. Reconstructing, formulating lot of hypotheses, reconstructing the crime scene, and also in drafting, documentation and drafting of the crime scene is very, very crucial. If you do not pay attention for that, then again there are chances that the case may become very, very weak and it may never see the day. That is, it is definitely going to end in acquittal only. Now, forensic science had responsible to educate their lives, educate the court also. Not that why court is employing you as a forensic scientist? If he can know every forensic science, all domains of forensic science, there is no need for the forensic science for his existence. Now, as per the Evidence Act, now 45 section Evidence Act, it says that there is an expert declared. There is a person called expert, he is a declared expert. His report is valid. His reports are admitted. Isn't it? Without any second thought. Of course, he is also a human being, he may also err. That is the reason why there is always a cross check by way of cross examination. They are there. Now, so the onus of educating the entire criminal justice system is there for forensic scientists also. We should never forget that this is police area, this is a police document, this is a 161, say this is a dying declaration, why should I bother? Dying declaration is the headache of forensic medicine doctor, why should I know about it? If that is our approach, then it will not be holistic. You are supposed to know a little of forensic medicine, forensic science, then law, and then the procedure, the demeanor, court demeanor that you need to observe in the court of law. Next slide please. Now, the role of forensic scientists in modern era, now pre-lab, not restricted to four walls as I said, preventive, then predictive, then proactive. So, thanks to the development of technology, science is progressing by leaps and bounds, and as I said, more and more evolution is happening. So that is the reason now from a very passive role to that of an active role, then we have transcended to the predictive and then preventive role also. Next slide please. So need training, police need to know the forensic role. So not only forensic scientists should always know about police role, police also should equally know what is the role of a forensic, the capacity, what is the capacity of the lab, how many cases they can handle, what type of sections do they have, and what are their limitations. Each procedure will have limitation. We can't say it is a foolproof 100% kind of a procedure. Science, nothing exists which is foolproof 100%. But you have to educate them saying that there are loopholes, but nevertheless, if I follow the procedure scrupulously, and if I follow the whatever SOPs that are there, the manual gives, if there is a uniformity, then I can say I have scrupulously followed, I am not bothered about the end result. I have done my part. It is for the interpreter or it is for the trier of the fact how he is going to understand my report and all. So, forensic scientists must know the legal requirement. Now, as I told you that what is the legal requirement? Now, suppose for example, in a particular documentation of crime scene can happen 2, 3, 4 days, you know all that. So by taking photos, videos, by taking notes, by pictures and all, there are very many number of ways in which you can take. Now in one of the pictures, you have shown that the crime weapon is put in the hand of the victim, right hand. That is what is shown in the, let us say, photo. Now when it comes to CD, that is the police write the part 1 CD, part 2 CD. In part 1 CD, part 2 CDs, they have written that as if the weapon is held in the left hand. Now your case is gone. One document says it is in the right hand, the other document says it is in the left hand. That has made your case very big. That is going to be benefit of doubt. किसको मिलेगा benefit of doubt? किसको मिलेगा? Accused को मिलेगा. Because we believe strongly in that 1,000 people accused go unpunished rather than one innocent fellow being put behind bar. So we go by that provision. Now that benefit of doubt goes to the accused. So you may be doing a wonderful work at lab. You may be using a very good equipment, then what is the use? So training and curriculum should be upgraded in all FS schools to include integrated approach. This is what is wanting, I feel. I have seen some syllabi, but then I am not able to appreciate to the extent it has to be included, it is not been included. Moot court, they say, when there are live courts, why moot court? When you can be taken to take a permission, all that is required to go to the registrar, get the permission, that's it. All that one can do is only that. And court will also appreciate. Court will also appreciate. Only thing, students, they are little apprehensive. They are by rule unruly. Don't mind if I use that word. Because mass hysteria bolte na. So when you are in groups, you have that energy coming from inside. So they are only afraid of that thing. Otherwise, they will give you permission. No problem. Now, it should be included in all schools to include integrated approach. So this is the order of the day. Next slide, please. Now, emphasis on holistic development beyond technical skills. It's not suffice that you have technical expertise, I can handle so many equipment, I have written exam of expert and all, I'm happy I'm an expert. Not sufficient. Now, not just hard skills, but then soft skills. What do you understand by soft skills? You should be able to explain to the court in a simple layman language. Otherwise, if you use jargon, what will happen? Like the report of blood. Blood is detected, blood disintegrated. So they are not able to understand the jargon. You should know this soft skills, how to present yourself in the court, how you have to explain the report in a layman language to the court. Otherwise, no purpose. What is the purpose for which you are engaged for the court? To make things clear so that you can help the trier of the fact to come to some logical conclusion. That is the purpose for which you are engaged. So if that particular purpose is not being done and if it is being defeated, so no good purpose, wind up all your departments and then sit at home. That's what the court will also say. If your report is in no way helpful for me in coming to conclusion, what is the point? Why should I invest so much on labs? This is the idea, this is the perspective they have, this is the kind of thinking that they have. So you have to, these misconceptions in the mind of the court, it should start from the college. If you try to explain these things, include in the curriculum all these points, then at the student level, people will appreciate, students will appreciate. So these many intricacies are involved, so I have to be careful, I should know the procedures of other agencies also. Then multidisciplinary approach is the key for success. Then such skills as are necessary should be taught to all forensic fraternity, irrespective of whether he is a prosecutor, whether he is a policeman, or whether he is some private expert and all. Everybody should know little bit. I don't say that they should become masters in other subjects also. At least a peripheral knowledge which is required for the presentation in the court, that much is sufficient. Renuji, you need to prompt me whenever time is up, otherwise slides will go on, my lecture will go on. So you should, 10 minutes, coffee. Good. Next slide please. Ma'am, next slide. So lab phase anyway we are familiar because we are all forensic scientists, budding forensic scientists rather. So we know what procedures have to be there. There should be some uniformity. All labs should only follow some uniform procedure. Otherwise what will happen? Some labs are NABL certified, some labs are not certified. Then court will have confusion. Whom should you believe? suppose there are two reports, one by a accredited lab, the other one non-accredited lab. So which lab he will prefer as a layman? Court is always layman as far as forensic knowledge is concerned. Then as a layman, if you are judged with that kind of a situation, which lab report you will prefer? Which lab? Is it the certified or non-certified lab? Definitely certificate is given by a third party. So I go by that, quality wise I go by that. So these kind of things, even the judge has to be educated on. Then NABL ISO certification, then significance, what is the significance? So if you are certified, it only implies that you are thoroughly following whatever procedures that have been laid down in the manuals, you are thoroughly following that, and your work can be believed, credibility. In courts, they go by credibility, reliability, credibility, reliability. So the job of the cross-examination is, or for that matter defense is, to shatter your confidence. Please remember, his job is to shatter your confidence. Tell him that your procedure is wrong. Don't get perturbed. That is his duty. He is doing his duty. That's it. You need not get perturbed. You need not get panic and all. So you have to understand him. So that is the reason I told you in the very beginning itself that you need to prepare yourself thoroughly before you go to the court and present yourself, and before you depose your evidence. It is mandatory. It is essential. It is recommended that you should go with all preparedness, thoroughly read the case. And most of the scientists, as I have seen, they are only bothered about the analysis part of it. When the case is received, when it is taken for examination, when it is reported, when it is dispatched, when the constable has come, in what shape it is given, is it a cardboard box, is it a paper parcel? If you are not thorough with these things, since the judge and the prosecutor, including the lawyer, defense lawyer, they go by these procedures only because they are not thorough with the scientific processes. So their focus will definitely be on the procedures. So where you are caught, if you are not thorough with these procedures, if you are not going to document these procedures, what is going to happen? Now these become very valid points for the defense fellow. He is going to bombard you with those questions. Because you are not prepared, you have not remembered, at least somewhere you have not written the dates, when it is opened, when it is received, when the report got completed. Isn't it you are unaware? So when questions pertaining to these areas are asked, you are not able to answer, then the defense will take advantage. See, sir, and just to tell you one example, there was a case where the scientist is being called for that, to give his evidence. In that case, what has happened? The criminal lawyer, as usual, he comes prepared and then he brings so many bulk of books and then he says, see gentlemen, you are a scientist, so your expertise in this particular field, yes, my expertise in this particular field. Now let me, whatever procedure that you have written, I am afraid they are obsolete. Do you know that there is a new version or new book which has come in this regard? Are you aware of that? Scientist name also, some fictitious name he takes. So he says, there is one book by this scientist, have you gone through? Yes sir, I have gone through there. Yes, I remember, now I recollect, I have seen that book. Now the very next moment the lawyer says, sorry, you are caught. Now, you say that there is a book, you have read that also. In fact, in reality, that book doesn't exist. So there he is trying to discredit by proving. So, if you have not read a particular procedure, you be frank enough in saying that I have not read it, I am not aware. At least that will save you. Instead, if you try to bluff, if you try to cover up, then your case will definitely become big. And then your credibility, that is very, your trustworthiness itself will be defeated. So, these are very important. We think that our job is done, I have report nicely, I have handed over, let court decide. It will not be that way, as simple as we look at it. Next slide please. Then analysis and reporting uniformity should be there. So one lab has only one, they have used one particular gadget, one implement and then one instrumentation. They have not used the other instrument. whereas the other lab has used 2-3 methods, one instrumentation, one TLC, one color, one presumptive, one confirmatory. So a battery of tests have gone. So there is no uniformity, and then definitely judge is going to ask, when lab 1 can do these many experiments, what happened to lab 2, why are they not doing? So this kind of comparison will come. So that is the reason there should be uniformity in reporting. What is the minimum criteria that is required for the reporting is also important. Now sampling norms, instruments to be used, standards, as and when the Supreme Court also, like for Basu case, DK Basu, arrest के ऊपर क्या क्या होना चाहिए, what is arrest, who has to be arrested, whom should be informed, and the Supreme Court guidelines are there. So time and again, Supreme Court and High Court of different states, they are trying to give you a lot of guidelines, and those guidelines need to be scrupulously followed. Then standard procedures given, courts will fall in line and understand the nature and work that goes into the analysis and then reporting. So if they are also educated, if they also come to know, yes, these are the procedures, and then we are, nowadays the forensic reports are very, very exhaustive. So they are going to give a comprehension, the chart, the micrographs, isn't it? Earlier we never used to give these many details. Now of late we started giving all the details. That if suppose my result is based on some interpretation, some data generated by the equipment, I am also enclosing that so that judge will understand how much hard work, how much real work has gone to prepare this particular report. He will also appreciate. Otherwise, if you hold everything for yourself, you don't explain, then where is the way? How can they understand your effort in arriving at the conclusion? So it is always good, as far as possible, take time, try to explain the code that this is what you have done and this is what is the outcome of your report or your analysis. It is always better that you try to take out time and explain. Yes, next slide please. Then CJ is crippled due to gross delay. You see that, backlogs, no recruitment, vacancies are there, people are not recruited. Why? Because enough people are not there, or people who are there are not qualified. So these kind of things are also, lot of impediments are there in the working of the forensic laboratories. And again, thanks to the Naya Kanun that has come in place, now more and more forensic scientists are coming up. Universities and colleges are trying to include in their curriculum, or trying to introduce new curricula where forensic science is going to play a major role. And that is not so. My only point here is, in making this presentation to a August gathering like this, is that there should be change in the curricula and more live things. Now it is not sufficient for me if I just say by PowerPoint, see these are the kits which has to be used in the crime scene and this is the color you get. Nobody will appreciate it. Instead, if I make the student do it with a real-time kind of a crime scene kit, and if they can get similar kind of a result, not a mock or moot kind of a thing. So real scenario cases, real scenario kits, if I can show them and then say this is an incriminating narcotic drug, you are suspecting it, this is a kit, this is the color, this is the chart, then they will appreciate it. If they do it with their hand, that kind of a memory will last long in the brain rather than this board teaching or blackboard teaching, whiteboard teaching or PowerPoint, whatever method you try to do it, or simulation exercise. I have seen while I was entering, I could see a crime scene being created. So this kind of simulation exercise also will help us, especially the student, understand the procedures involved in the crime scene management. Now, police need to be taught about the lab functioning, how a lab works, what are the capabilities of each lab, what kind of exhibits can be examined by the lab and all. They should also be told. And that is the reason why in different police academies, now there is a fresher course, then there is a mandatory course. Unless until the SA completes all the mandatory courses, he will not become eligible for SI. I will not become eligible for inspector. And there are also some mandatory courses which he has to complete before inspector becomes a device. So at each stage, even the IPS officers are not excluded. Mid-career courses, senior level officers, higher management, all these courses they have to mandatorily complete. Otherwise, they have to forego or their promotions are going to be delayed. So this is the kind of setup now we have in all the curriculum, whether it be police curriculum or the forensic curriculum or for that matter prosecutors curriculum. So they have these kind of, at different levels, some levels of promotion, they have included that in the curriculum. Next slide. Now reporting, as I said, now if your report has to be accepted as admitted in the court of law, though you can take 293 CRPC provision, my report is self-explanatory, don't call me time and again, I am fed up coming to the court, my time is being wasted in visiting courts only, please don't call me, 293 is sufficient, please be happy with it. So you cannot have the privilege. Again, section 2 is there, clause 2 is there. However, if the court feels, if the prosecution feels, or the defense feels, or the judge himself is in doubt, you have used some jargon, some procedure which I am not able to understand how you have come to this kind of a conclusion. Unless you explain, come in person, explain to me all the procedures, then only I will appreciate. If suppose they feel that way, then you cannot take the shelter under 293 CRPC. You are bound to come, otherwise arrest warrant will be issued against you. So that kind of a thing. And when you go with a report, as I told you, you pad up your report with all that justification. If there is a figure, drawing, incorporate that. If there is a micro photograph, like we compare the bullets and the microscope, comparison microscope, include that also. Then if you have charts, comparison charts, for example, you are doing a, let us say, a kind of a superimposition technique. Now there is chart, male, female, and then mandible, how it differs, male, female, dimorphism, how it is there. So kind of charts are there, anthropometric measurements are there, please try to include that also. Then electrophotograms in DNA profiling and all, so machine is going to generate lot of electrophotograms. So you should know how to interpret and then explain them properly, how you have arrived, how the loci are matching, how loci are not matching, all that you have to explain with the help of charts and these kind of supporting material. Then videographs, of course, tables are there, then statistics, probability. See, there is what is known as, I think you are all aware of the Roberts criteria. So whenever a new technology comes into picture, now you have to fulfill for the sake of the court. So everybody's attention is getting diverted, I don't know, maybe you are distracted by this, please pay attention, this is very important. See, Daubert criteria is one criteria where whenever a new methodology is getting introduced, being adopted by the forensic scientist, it has to have so many criteria. What is the one is it has to be peer reviewed. It will not be sufficient I invent something and then be happy about my invention and then say that I have done a wonderful job. Not suffice. You have to allow the other expert in the other part of the globe also to do this, and then if he also concurrently get the same result, then that particular procedure is it is approved. So peer-reviewed journal, it has to get published and it should get general acceptance. So there are certain criteria like that. So Daubert criteria is always there. So they will appreciate any report which is being supported with reasons of justification. Reasons, if you give an opinion, what is the basis for your opinion? You have to give supporting documentation. So these are all the supporting documents that you need to furnish along with the report. Mere report, mere opinion will not be valid and it will not be accepted in the court of law. Next please. Time is up, sir. So things go on like this. You need to understand. I have already explained whatever is there in the slides. I have already explained to you. Then my only appeal is for all the the officers who are heading the universities and then colleges, my appeal would be that include this kind of an integrated approach in the curricula, so that will be very, very beneficial to the students at large. And then once they join the profession, they should not be awestruck saying that this procedure seems to be very new, I am not aware of this. That thing should not happen, and they should get adopted to the job so easily. So that will be easy only when you have these kind of things in the curricula. So I owe a lot to the organizers who at the last minute try to accommodate me and then give this kind of an opportunity to interact with all of you. Good luck to all of you. I need to go this side only.
Thank you very much. Your mind. And I am really happy to see you after a long time. Actually, when I was going to National Police Academy for delivering lectures to IPS officers, and was examiner for IPS officer at that time. She was director over there and she used to come for the external examiner for IPS also. So I'm really happy to see you after a long time, and in between you are having talks on mobile, but we didn't see face to face.
The pleasure is also equally mine, sir. This is a great opportunity, I feel, interacting with seniors like you, and then with students who are young minds and all. I always get a lot of energy from such forums.
Thank you so much. Now, I really appreciate your topic, that is integrated approach, because I'm a person who worked master in scientific investigation. I was in laboratory for many years, so examined cases also. Regarding this your integrated approach, मैंने बहुत सारा कुछ देखा है. That may be, for example, I am just quoting one example here. Whenever there is a case of drug and people, at the scene of crime, police constable used to collect the drug-stained soil and the cardboard soil. So what he would do, कि कोई भी implement ले, center of attention is always blood. So he rush to the drug-stained part. और 2 डब्बा लेके 1 डब्बे के अंदर उसने ब्लड को कलेक्ट कर लिया. With the same implement, he is going to collect the
Control also.
control soil. Whenever and that is of course in the airtight pattern, which is not at all permissible in physiological material. So whenever the samples are going to the lab, as you said, most of the time they are disintegrated. और दूसरा ये है कि because the same implement is being used for collecting the control soil, that is also very be positive. Reason being this tests we are performing, they are tested in ppm level, that is in parts per million. तो बेसिकली यहाँ पर ट्रेनिंग की बहुत जरूरत है पुलिस को. दूसरा एग्जाम्पल में देता हूँ, एक्चुअली मैंने एक बार केस पकड़ा, उसमें जो वीपन ऑफ ऑफेंस से एक दिन बाद उन्होंने रिकवर किया. इन लोगों का पुलिस का एक कोई कल्चर होता है, अपना प्रोग्राम का लोग कहते हैं व्हाटएवर दे डू. उस वीपन ऑफ ऑफेंस को उन्होंने जैसे आज 22 तारीख के पेपर के अंदर रख कर 2 दिन उन्होंने 2 नाम का रोक के रखा, 22 तारीख के पेपर में रख कर दिया. और उसमें इतना अच्छा केस था, मुझे लगा इसमें डेथ पेनल्टी होगा या मिनिमम लाइफ इम्प्रिजमेंट तो हो ही होगा, और उसमें एक टूटा हो गया. जब रीजन मैंने पता किया तो पता ये चला कि 20 तारीख को 22 तारीख का न्यूज़पेपर कैसे चला. तो these things they should be taught to the police officers and even the constable. The no police officer is going to see the job. और जो बात आपने कही, बिकॉज बेसिकली सारा कुछ काम पुलिस करती है. FIR का लॉज जो है वो भी पुलिस से होता है. इन अ वे इफ आई से कि पुलिस वाला ही इज अ स्टोरी मेकर, ही इज द राइटर, ही इज द म्यूजिशियन, और हम कौन है? हम जस्ट एक्सपीरियंस है हमारा. तो चाहे मेडिकल का एक्सपर्ट हो, चाहे फॉरेंसिक एक्सपर्ट हो, और वो ये चाहते हैं कि मेडिकल एक्सपर्ट या फॉरेंसिक एक्सपर्ट की दम पे पूरी पिक्चर चल जाए, तो ऐसा होता नहीं. इसके लिए जरूरी है कि ये जो आपने बात कही कि इंटीग्रेटेड अप्रोच होना चाहिए. एवरीवन शुड बी ट्रेन्ड, इवन द मेडिकल ऑफिसर.
I know.
I tell you, I have seen number of autopsies. I was in the autopsy chamber for almost in 1,000 cases. What when they are preserving the slide for this your
Sexual assault.
in sexual assault cases, तो slide contaminated है कि नहीं है, the way they are preparing the slide.
Kabhi without label also.
Yes. So these are the problems actually.
I know.
Regarding in court, when we experts are going, पुलिस वाले को साइंस नहीं आता, जो जजमेंट देने वाला है उसको नहीं आता, जो क्रॉस कर रहा है उसको नहीं आता, तो वो स्थिति वो होती है कि फंस गई रजिया गुंडों में, तो बड़ा मुश्किल होता है बनना में अपनी साइंस से। तो ट्रेनिंग that should be imparted not only to the police wala, it should be imparted to the medical officer and the judiciary people also.
Correct.
In Madhya Pradesh, we started almost 35-35 के बैचेज में रिलीजियस आते थे हमारे। इसके बाद में ऑलमोस्ट पूरा रिलीजियस हम लोगों ने ट्रेन किया। उनका कमेंट ये था कि सर हम ये समझते थे कि फॉरेंसिक लैब होती है जो हायर सेकेंडरी में देखा था ब्यूमेट और पिपेट लगा हुआ, ऐसी कोई लैब होती होगी, लेकिन कितना मुश्किल होता है एक पेज की रिपोर्ट तैयार करने में। This we came to know when we visited the forensic lab.
Exactly.
तो उसके बेसिस पर इतने धड़ाधड़ जजमेंट्स आने लगे। In 2018, you won't believe we got to limit of a warrant for maximum death penalty होने लगा।
Since a lot of misconceptions.
मेरा ये कहना है कि इतनी लेवल के ऊपर जो है टीचिंग होना चाहिए रिगार्डिंग डिटेलिंग एंड रिपोर्ट। मैंने हैवंट सीन एनी यूनिवर्सिटी इन इंडिया, ऑफ कोर्स मैं यूके में था, वहां पर हाउ टू अपीयर इन द कोर्ट
Exactly.
इट इज टफ। हमारे यहाँ से जितने भी साइंटिस्ट बैठे हैं जो कोर्ट ऑफ लॉ में जाते होंगे, फर्स्ट टाइम जब वो कोर्ट में जाते हैं तो उनको लगता है कि आज मेरी नौकरी गई। This happens actually. This happens with me also. बात की बात अलग है, लगता है इससे पास हो जाएगा, हमसे गलत जवाब निकल जाएगा और हमारी नौकरी चलेगी। On the contrary, in UK I have seen कि वो इस तरीके का ग्रूमिंग पहले ही करते हैं। कोई सीनियर साइंटिस्ट के साथ में उनके जो जूनियर होते हैं वो जाते हैं, वो रिसर्च करते हैं किस तरीके से एविडेंस दिया जाता है, क्या क्रॉस क्वेश्चनिंग होती है। Anyways, it's a wonderful topic you raised, and
just one more thing I wanted to add. It's a wonderful presentation, but there are certain things we are just talking for the lecture. Actually, what I want is a very, very nice approach that we should integrate the academic and the field worker. Okay, so why we are talking about SOPs? SOPs, they should not be mentioned just like that. We should have a SOP, standard operating procedures, which have been taught by the academicians till the end, and that should be, I mean, they are doing using these SOPs and the crime scene also, and accordingly there should be checklists. Okay, so that it should be uniform. We should not adopt different type of models. Okay, so no models are not required, but only thing is, if we have a SOPs, we talk about SOPs, it should be standardized, and academicians should have taught the students from the beginning, and then they are using in the field. Then it will be very, very useful. And at the same time, when SOPs are there, definitely there will be checklists for different type of crime. So that's how we can uniform and educate the students who, particularly in forensic science, they can be useful for us. They can be useful and we as in the world, we are consumers. Okay, so if we are getting good stuff, then definitely we are working very well. I am sorry to say that we have in the world is very, very sorry. Means it's not up to the mark when the people are going to the crime scene and doing the things. It's not up to the mark. And definitely being in the forensic science, we should not talk about that much. But what I want is, when we are integrating, we should start from the academics. Means the students who are coming to forensic science, they should be educated well. Only thing is, there should be a standard procedure for every crime scene. Whatever you want, means there should be a uniformity. That should be maintained, then definitely everything will work very well. Thank you.
Thank you for that input.
Very good point actually. Fortunately, in new law, अभी इट इज मैंडेटरी कि फोरेंसिक का रिपोर्ट जरूरी है और मुझे लगता है कि आने वाले टाइम में थाने लेवल के ऊपर सब फोरेंसिक एक्सपर्ट दे विल बी
Yeah, definitely.
दैट इज अ वेरी गुड साइन एंड फॉर अपकमिंग साइंटिस्ट और ग्रूमिंग साइंटिस्ट इनको जॉब अपॉर्चुनिटी
And for the information, in our Punjab has already appointed some scientists at the SI level.
Initially, I was scheduled here in Delhi.
Sure.
Present director, she called me. We are going to start mobile forensic, so I am going to send 5-4 scientists को ट्रेन करने के लिए आपके पास मैं भेजना चाहती हूँ. मैंने कहा बिल्कुल आप भेजिए. दीपा वर्मा is there. Now in present scenario, मेरे ख्याल से 30-40 फॉरेंसिक साइंटिस्ट उनके मोबाइल में काम करते हैं. तो साइंटिस्ट for the young forensic scientists. So thank you very much.
Okay.
And any questions from the audience? Hello.
I totally agree with you, sir, and we have already a lot of procedures being set in Navy Police Academy when I was heading that unit, and I feel all universities should replicate that particular model. It was a very, very good model, and that should be followed because we make them write CD, we make them enact role plays, and then court, real judges coming, real prosecutors coming, a real defense lawyer coming. So they get to know these nuances only when it is very near to the reality. No, fake is always fake, simulation is always simulation. Nothing can replace reality.
Yeah.
So this we were doing, and I request all the universities to replicate that.
You know why I am saying to you? Because now you have a different role.
I know.
You are in the,
I am into
so when
academics.
you are in academic. you-
Definitely, I'll take this forward. Valid point, I'll take this forward, and definitely while designing the curricula, we'll ensure. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, ma'am. Thank you so much for your extensive presentation. Your insights were really thoughtful. I would like to request our session chair, Dr. Harsh Sharma, to felicitate our keynote speaker, Dr. Sharda Arun.
I'm not doctor, a small correction. I'm still, I feel a little, repent. I'm not a doctorate. I aspired for it. I couldn't complete. It was halfway through. I remained only without DR before my name. It's a great pleasure and honor to receive this compliment.
Thank you so much, ma'am. And thank you so much, sir.
My laptop is there. Did I put any this thing? Did
Now, I would like to welcome Dr. Smriti Sharma for the last keynote session of this conference. Ma'am couldn't be here, but we are glad that she has joined us online. Dr. Smriti Sharma is an assistant professor at National Forensic Science University, Delhi campus, specializing in forensic biology and virology. She earned her PhD from Punjab University, Patiala in 2021 with research spanning forensic biology, serology, chemistry, anthropology, odontology, diatomology, botany, and wildlife science. Dr. Sharma's research focuses on spectroscopic methods for analyzing body fluids, poisonous plants, paint, grasses, skin and wildlife immunity. She has published 36 research papers in prestigious journals and